we have to make peace that outbound telephone prospecting is still the best way and the best tool that we have in real estate to go out there and list properties in high volume. Now, the problem is we have a bunch of very, very persuasive people that are screaming from the mountaintops, explaining and convincing us that you and I don't have to prospect to still win in this business. And when we hear that message, because we hate prospecting so much, that it attracts us, it distracts us. This is what creates shiny object syndrome. Now, the challenge is you have people screaming from the mountaintops that you don't have to prospect and you can still be successful. So in today's video, I'm gonna prove to you that outbound telephone prospecting is still the best method to go out there and build a great real estate career that you earn the money that you desire most. So when we look at all the different strategies and all the different things that you could potentially do to go out there and earn new business, get new listings, get new buyers, okay? Let's look at all the different options. And I think that after you look at all these options, you'll agree that telephone prospecting is absolutely the best methodology. Now, the great Jim Rohn has a quote that I absolutely love when I try to convince you to prospect every single day. You see, Jim said, don't wish things were easier, wish you were better. The problem isn't that prospecting doesn't work. The problem is it's very difficult, and we are constantly looking for things that are easier. We're constantly looking for the magic pill. And so when people, influencers, scream from the mountaintops, these very, very convincing people tell us that we can do this little thing over here and we never have to prospect again, it lets you off the hook. You say, see, Brandon, I told you I didn't need to prospect. I can go over here and do Facebook ads and I never have to prospect again. Well, let's look at some of these other tactics and strategies, and then you can be the judge as to what makes the most sense. So, I want you to really, really think about this. I want you to ask yourself, if you sat down in a chair and you called 100 for sale by owners, 100 expired listings, or heck, just 100 random homeowners directly over the telephone, I want to look at the percentage likelihood for you to find a potential seller lead, okay? So if you called 100 for sale by owners, you called 100 expired, you called 100 random homeowners versus you sending 100 letters out to a random neighborhood. Or you send 100 cold emails out to random people. Or maybe you even sent out 100 private messages on Facebook or Instagram. Or heck, even if you bought 100 leads from Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, Google Pay-Per-Click, Facebook ads, any of those other methods, the challenge is, number one, we don't know who the information is going to like we do with phone calls. When you call an expired listing, when you call a for sale by owner, an absentee owner, or for rent by owner, a probate, someone that's going through a divorce, it's very, very targeted. Okay, so that's the biggest key. That's the reason why telephone prospecting works so much. The lists that you're calling are very, very targeted. It's very direct. So you get instant feedback. You see, when you make a phone call to a potential seller, a for sale by owner, you have the conversation with the person over the phone. You know right now whether or not you have an opportunity or not. If you send out 100 letters, we don't know if anybody is going to respond. If you send out 100 emails, we don't know if anybody is going to respond. And oh, by the way, if they do, can you duplicate it? If you send out 100 letters to a random neighborhood and you were lucky enough to get one homeowner to call you back and say, yep, come on over and list my property for sale, could you do it again? Could you send out 100 letters to another neighborhood and get that same result? And if you're being honest, you and I both know the answer is absolutely no. However, what we do know, even with agents that have low skill set, if they talk to 100 people, 100 conversations per week, that will yield them between 1 and 2 listing appointments per week. We know that you can duplicate that every single week. Now, I think that you would agree, you're looking at this video saying, yeah, I could make sense of that. Sure, that's right. I still don't want to do it. That's the real issue. The real issue isn't that it works or it doesn't work. The real issue is that what's being taught today as it relates to outbound prospecting using old, outdated, high pushy sales tactics is something that you don't want to be part of. Prospects no longer respond to that, so that you then say prospecting no longer works. Well, what I teach all of my students using reverse selling, coming across from a place of contribution to a homeowner, where the homeowner invites you over to the property without having to pressure them to meet. This is what I teach. And so just like Jim Rohn said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. If you learned a tactic and a strategy in my reverse selling system, that when you had 100 conversations with potential sellers, that you weren't getting the rejection, you weren't having to be a high pressure, high closer, that you were coming across to build the relationship, coming across from contribution. So much so that the sellers, based on this methodology, invited you to the property to interview, to sell a home. You might actually like prospecting. And so that is the point of today's video. Not that prospecting works or doesn't work. It certainly does, especially when we look at all the other alternatives. You and I both would agree that if we sat down and we made 100 phone calls a day, every single day, that there would be no debate that we would talk to more homeowners, that we would meet with more homeowners, and that we would list more properties than any other tactic or strategy out there. That's not what we're debating. What we're debating is, how do we get you to actually do it? So I put a link beneath this video. It's for us to jump on a quick coaching call. I'll share with you the tactics and strategies that all of our students are using to get one listing a week. And then you can simply decide after our phone call if working together with me to accomplish your goals makes sense or not. Either way, no big deal. But we have to make peace, and we have to sacrifice, and we have to surrender to the fact that telephone prospecting, outbound prospecting, is the business that we are in. And we have to stop with the distractions. We have to stop listening to all the people out there telling us, you don't have to prospect. Prospecting's old school. You don't have to do any of that anymore. We have to stop listening to all of that garbage. We have to increase our skills and stay focused on what we know absolutely works. Hoping you got value from today's video. We'll see you guys in another video very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching.